Does Kuo Hsing-chun have the best technique in weightlifting? I think if you spoke to a lot of coaches, a lot of athletes, they would probably say that. We want to work out if that's actually true. We're going to look at her positions, her sort of style, rhythm, tempo of lifting, and her efficiency, her strength levels. All of that combined is going to allow us to answer that question. Is she the best? So what we're looking at here now is Kuo Hsing-chun clean and jerking 130 kilos. We're going to take a look at her positions. Max, with this clean, what are you kind of noticing as she pulls here?
Well, so when we think about her technique too, we have to remember anatomy plays a big role, right? Technique is about optimizing your anatomy and your strengths to basically capitalize on both of those things. Mm-hmm. She's got shorter legs, longer arms. She's going to pull a little bit differently than someone with long limbs and a short torso. But what we see is that she does an excellent job of maximizing her anatomy and her strengths in the clean. Mm-hmm. Bar comes up off the floor really well, comes to her knee. When the bar's at her knee, it's in a great position. Her shins are basically vertical. And then as she makes the transition past the knees, the bar stays super close as she shifts the knees back under the bar. Mm-hmm. That one element of the lift, to me, seems very masterful. She's really, really exceptional with that. But it's a little bit different looking than if she had different body proportions. So, she's maximized her abilities and her technique to fit her particular anatomy and strengths. I would say, that's a perfect execution for her.
Right. I think one of the interesting things here is we look at this 110 kilo world record. She does actually end up jumping forward a little bit. This is not something that you're taught to do. Obviously, this is something that she does more and more as the weight goes up. So that's a problem. That's something that she would ideally, presumably not want to do. We can see here in the snatch, she's way more over the bar, I'd say, than she is in the clean. And then, like you said, as she brings those knees back under, she brings the hips forward. If we pause there, she is in a different position in this heavy snatch than she is in the clean. She's on her toes early, whatever that means. And it looks like, you can kind of tell she has a little bit of this forward momentum. And then she ends up getting under the bar with a little bit of a jump forward, as we can see here. I mean, how far is that? It's not a ton, but it does. I mean, it's a few inches.
Yeah.
And then, let's be honest, it was a little bit pressy. But they gave her that one.
It's indicative, when someone jumps forward, it's indicative of horizontal movement happening at the top of the pole.
Yeah.
Right? We know that much horizontal displacement of the bar forward means that there's some loss of vertical projection of the bar. If that's the case, we can't say that it's flawless technique, right? It's still exceptionally good. She's lifting the most that she can and performing extremely well in competition, but potentially a little bit inefficient in some places.
And then again, if we look at this is a snatch pull. I'm actually going to slow down the speed for us. This is way over her 1 rep max snatch. And not only is it interesting to see the bar path, it's interesting to see how well she holds positions. A lot of that comes down to her efficiency, her strength, and we're going to get onto that later. But there are certainly no major problems. When you look at that, it's pretty much a thing of beauty. The way that she directs herself up, the barbell comes back with the floor, hips are low. It's very nice positioning.
Yeah, really no horizontal movement at the top of the pole. She does a great job keeping the bar in a completely vertical path.
Look how much this barbell comes back off the floor. If you compare her to Ilin, Shiziong, Liu Xiaojun, other shorter femored athletes, they have a hard time bringing it back straight away. You get this forward movement. Look at this first bit here. I mean, that barbell comes in a couple of inches towards her. And then as the bar comes out, as it always will after the contact, it's not going to come out beyond that sort of starting point. It's really impressive that she can do that at such, that's 110, 115% of the snatch. There.
And comparing that snatch pull to her actual snatch, where we saw a little bit of horizontal movement, she jumped forward. We know there's a better position there. The possibility to be a little more vertical exists.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to take a look at next is just the tempo of her lifting. There's something about the way she moves, Max, which to me is just this nice kind of to and fro. It's this sort of nice in and out, the rhythm of the lift. Unlike, we looked at Shiziong the other day, and it's the same speed the whole time. It's not a beautiful, poetic, type movement. It's just brute strength.
I would say the comparison between her and Shijiang is that Shijiang is just running through a brick wall, and that brick wall happens to be a barbell. Whereas she looks like she's doing everything in her power to be as smooth and efficient as possible. Just such an exceptional bar pass. Just really, really beautiful
Yeah,
lift.
it really is beautiful. I mean, that bar, it's like it glides a millimeter away from her legs the whole time as she moves those knees back. They don't go back a second longer than they need to. As they come forward just enough as the back opens that they don't hit into that barbell. I mean, it's totally stunning the way she lifts.
Yeah, and it's even more obvious in her clean and jerk where she excels,
probably even more.
Yeah, probably the best in the world. What's really cool is that you can see how consistent she is. And that's indicative of somebody who has excellent technique. The ability to execute again and again and again the same way with the same weights shows that their technique is obviously, super ingrained and they're extremely consistent with it.
Right. Yeah, she kind of hits this checklist that I remember being taught years ago, which was worry about your positions first.
Yeah.
Then the rhythm of the lift. Then the speed that you can produce that rhythm, and then its weight. And it's like she was held back at each of those until they were mastered.
Yeah.
Her positions are perfect. The rhythm, that feel for the movement is unparalleled in that weight category. And then the speed that she's able to do that, because the bar starts moving pretty quick, but it maintains that nice rhythm and explosion. And then on top of that, she's incredibly strong, as we can see with this 140 kilo clean and jerk. This is a world record total when she did it. 2019, we were both there watching this. And again, that jerk position, if we just pause in the catch there, it's a pretty nice position. You know?
That's the picture you show to somebody in the gym when they want to know what a perfect position looks like.
Yeah,
here it is.
Yeah, exactly. So I think a major chunk of what makes Kuo so good has to come down to the ease with which she's able to make these lifts look. And that comes down also just to how damn strong she is.
Yeah.
As well as she moves, it would be silly if we didn't mention the fact that she can back squat 190 kilos.
Yeah.
She's no doubt done more. We actually have a video of her here squatting 185 kilos. And so when you put it like that she's clean and jerking 142 as her best, off of 185, that's not far off 80%, which is about what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Which is actually indicative of somebody who's excellent technician and excellent training.
And
she could probably squat 200 kilos if she was spending more energy doing that.
Yeah.
I don't think that her training consists of trying to drive her 1 rep max squat up at the expense of everything else, which to me says that they're not padding her strength with more and more squats.
Right.
That's pretty much spot on for ratio.
And then the first time I ever saw her actually was at the World Championship. This is right before she did that 140. This was a 175 that she did in the training hall just a few days out. And again, the nonchalance of this movement, the ease with which she does it, the speed that she comes out of the hole shows that, like you said, there's significantly more in there. And also, the fact that she's willing to do what we would assume is a heavy lift, slow close out to competition, shows that it's probably not that heavy for her. I mean, the speed of this, if she did this on Weightlifting AI and asked her to give an RIR, what would you give her for this?
I mean, she's got at least maybe 4 reps in the tank.
Yeah. She could probably do a set of 4 or 5 for that.
Yeah.
Which is just, kind of credible.
Yeah. It's also something to note too, is that as a lifter's body weight decreases, the clean and jerk to squat ratio should change a little bit. So as the lifter gets smaller, relatively speaking, their squat's going to be higher, right? So her ratio of squat to clean and jerk is probably on par. We don't see her doing those giant squats because it's not necessary.
Right.
But if she could actually squat close to 200 kilos and clean and jerk's about 142, that does make sense that she would have a ratio around there.
Yeah.
If she was squatting 210 kilos, that would be a situation where we'd say she's not super efficient because she's significantly stronger.
More like a Bianca Kostova type of athlete.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. The final thing we've got to look at, the real reason that she's so athletic, surely comes down to this type of training, the footwork drills that she and her teammates love to do. It's
Korean secrets.
Well, if she lifted for Korea, but she doesn't.
Oh.
Chinese Taipei / Taiwan.
My bad.
We don't want to get political here. But yeah, I mean, this footwork drill stuff, I wonder how much of this is just for a break, a fun, different bit of training, or how much of it comes down to them thinking that this is really beneficial for them. But you seem to think that it's probably not the most beneficial. So
I don't think it really does much from the standpoint of...
Wait, but you saying this doesn't correlate to a 140 clean jack?
Yeah, well, that particular drill doesn't, but the karaoke does.
Okay, right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have a lot of footage of her doing this sort of stuff. But I think we've hopefully helped answer this question. Kuo Hsing-chun, the 2021 Olympic champion, the 5-time world champion, the world record holder in everything. People always say, does she have the best technique in weightlifting? I'm going to say that she doesn't have the best technique, but again, she scores so highly in her positions, her rhythm, and her strength. She's able to end up lifting more than everybody else.
Yeah, I think she's an excellent technical model. She's masterful what she does for her positions and everything, but probably near the top 1% of technical skill in the world.
Right. Kuo Hsing-chun is the type of athlete whose strength is extremely high in a sort of more natural way than many others. She has to put in a lot of work, as we see in her training, to improving her technique. If, like Kuo Hsing-chun, you're one of those stronger athletes who needs to improve technically, we've got you covered at weightlifting.ai. You can join the Weightlifting House team with the link down below. Get 2 weeks off, 2 weeks free with code 2weektrial. And if you are as strong as Kuo, perhaps we can make you set world records like Kuo does by improving your technique.